who wish to make meaning. So therefore, who wish to make the meaningful this good life of leisure. So this leisure means we have been in samsara for such a long time. So we always been busy with what? Suffering, only suffering. We think we do a lot of things that is going to create peace, but happiness, but still those that are believed to be the cause of happiness themselves become a cause of suffering. We have been in this samsara for all these millions and millions of lifetimes, only either experiencing suffering or just causing the cause of the sufferings. Therefore, we have been so busy with those kind of sufferings and causes of sufferings, we never have a break in between. So now, this time we have a little bit of break where we can think of the Dharma. We can actually experience the Dharma and seeing the paths that the roadmaps that are eventually going to end up taking you to the end of the samsara, where there is no sufferings, where that state of being knows no suffering at all, that is nirvana. So this so fortunate life, once in a million times we get this life. So seeing this rare opportunity is not going to come oftenly. We need to grab this opportunity, utilize this life in the best possible way, that is to practice Dharma. So in order to practice Dharma, for these three reasons, like one, those who are unobscured by darkness of the partisanship, and those who are mentally have the capacity to differentiate good and bad, and those who wish to make this life meaningful. And Tsongkhapa was inspired to explain this part of the greater trailblazers to you, the students who listen the teachings in that particular way. So it's like a bit of your rejoicement to yourself and encouraging the listeners to listen the teachings carefully and then put teachings into practice. So yeah, so now there's sort of number two being Hondro. Okay, we'll go through this anyway. So here the teachings that I will explain is how fortunate beings are led to Buddhahood by way of stages of the path to enlightenment. Number one, contain the key points of all the congruous scripture. The second are the pathways forged by two trailblazers, Nagarjuna and Asanga. Third, number three are the systems of supreme beings progressing to the state of condition. And number four, fully comprise all the stages practiced by the three types of persons. Now this Lamrim teachings. Lamrim teaching is okay. Now the Lamrim teaching is such that it is the succinct of all the teachings that are available, all the complicated paths, all the subtle paths that leads to nirvana and enlightenment, great enlightenment, Buddhahood, are being actually taught in a very simple way, simple to understand, which actually succinct or all the essential Buddha's teachings and all the essential points were being succinct or were being collected into one. That is to become the Lamrim text. So this Chewa Sunda Chichu Shi. Chewa Chichu Shi, they call it Chewa Sunda Chichu Shi. That means Chichu Shi, the Chewa Sun, three greatness and four qualities of the text. The text has three greatness and four qualities. Here is they could talk about four qualities. Chewa Sunda Chichu Shi. Well, the qualities, Chichu Shi, the qualities, practice. The quality is Shinda Chimbuludu Tomini Lamsul. That means Shinta Chenmo Ludo the Tumini Jalanzo, the path, the systems that followed by two great 12 blazers, that is Nagarjuna and Asanga. That's number one. Number two, number two is what it says, forged by two ways of treasure. Then the keep on all the Congress scripture. Contain the keep on the Congress scripture are the pathway forged by. Okay. In English, it's a little bit different. Not different. In Tibetan, the first one is pathway forged by two great blazers. And the second one is the second one is contain the key points of all the conqueror scripture. This is not because maybe in English, I don't know where they put. Okay, in your copy, is it still like that? Contains the key point of all conqueror scripture. In Tibetan, that is comes second. Number two, the pathway forged by two great trailblazers. This comes number one. It's mainly because why it's on put it first. They might all the other things should have a reason, right? So it's not they didn't put it randomly. So it's put in that way. Number chalu. Okay, anyway, it's like it starts from this masters and then coming down to since it's the path that eventually leading you to the Buddhahood, but it has been first, nicely, like how to say, comprehensively, this path, Lamrim has been composed, or it's been compiled, or it's been taught by, in terms of human in terms of a human dharma holder, that is Nagarjuna and Asanga. So that's the order that's coming here in Tibetan. Anyway, that contains the key points of all the conqueror scriptures. That means it contains the key points of all the conquerors' scripture. All the I don't know, there's also a little bit different. Contains the key points of all the conqueror scripture. Contains the key points of all of the conqueror scripture. Contains the key points of all of the conqueror scripture means contains the key points of all of the Buddha's scripture, which means actually here in Tibetan, that means, could be Buddha. That means those who wants to Buddhahood, he explained the stages of enlightenment that contains okay, a little bit difference, but anyway, it's fine. It's not very important. Anyway, the key points of all that means the key points, so sophisticated and profound and deep, all this extensive, the teachings were being now put together in one box, and that present you the right paths and roadmaps that eventually lead you to the Buddhahood. So this was being explained in a very understandable, on a very relevant way. And then the what being contain the path forged by two. Not only this is actually taught by Buddha, but it has been presented. It's been putting together in a bite size, that we can fathomable for us, break it down to our bite size, and to the the level that we can understand and yet not missing the depth of the teaching. So it comes from the great masters, number 2. Number 3 are the systems of supreme beings progressing to the state of omniscience. Okay, system of supreme beings progressing stage, fully comprised of gosh. The second one is also okay. Chanjulen Kawada Sanji Jube Kanship Chanju Lamjulen Bekuni Kawada Sanji Satu. Are the system of supreme beings progressing to the stage of omniscience. That means are the system of supreme beings. Okay. Okay, anyway, I'll first go through Tibetan and then a little bit mixed up there. Chanju Lamjulen Kawada Sanji Chibusunjil Nyamso Lamjulen, but Tanja Masao Meba Duba, that means Chibusunjil Lamger, but Tamji. It presented the Buddha Dharma. It is presented Buddha Dharma, and it presented Buddha Dharma in such a way that it explains mainly related to three persons, lower and medium and higher, scope of person, through which stages of the paths were being taught, through stages of the paths that leads to the Buddhahood being taught. System being progressing state of mission, fully comprised all the stages by 3 types. Yeah. So anyway, we got these 4 different qualities. It's coming from great the trailblazers, number 1, number 2, and it's comprised of the complete and relevant paths that leads you to the Buddhahood. And also it taught in the paths of being taught in a style that actually relevant to the 3 different persons, the capacity, so yeah. And then it comprises all the system being progressed through the stages of the path, and then 12 brothers taught it, and then it contains all the Buddhas, the Buddhas that the paths that have ever taught by all Buddhas. So yeah, that's maybe the. I hope it makes sense. If you have any questions so far, maybe I'll take some questions here. How about that? Okay, maybe I'll go a little bit, and then I will, once I'm done this part, then we can maybe do more question and answer session. Okay, now the scholars of glorious, scholars of glorious Nalanda, the scholars of glorious Nalanda are said to have explained the teaching by way of 3 purities, right? 3 purities: the purity of speech of the master, the purity of the mind of the disciple, and the purity of the teachings that will be explained. So that's the Nalanda tradition. And Nalanda tradition, the purity of speech of the masters. So it was the teachings and the scriptures were taught by masters whose speech is clear, right? Speech is pure and clear, understandable. The spirit of mind of the disciples' minds are very pure. That means intention. The intention is to go to nirvana, not to being become, become learned on this subject, and then be, brag about your understanding and belittling others without the intention was, like a lack of all the intention was on the absence of all these kind of negative thoughts. The pure intention to go to nirvana for yourself or to liberate other sentient beings, taking them to nirvana by taking them to nirvana by yourself. See, so that's the intention, without being contaminated by any kind of negativities or wrong thinkings. So that lomi jutaba, shiji chutaba. That means the purity of the Dharma. Dharma must be the pure. That means Dharma, the teaching, the path that you are showing to, presenting to you, mustn't be compromised by any kind of influence or any kind of the influence of the wrong views, and shouldn't be tainted by or any kind of like a mistaken views and mistaken paths. So it must be well observed, thoroughly examined, and the right path that will definitely going to lead you to the nirvana and great nirvana. That is Buddhahood or great enlightenment or omniscient mind. Yeah, that is the Lomishiji Chue Taba. There's three purities. You have to give teachings. You have to write Dharma text, and any kind of related to Dharma must be taught in this three fashion, like purity of your mind, purity of your speech, and purity of the Dharma itself, the purity of the subject that you are going to teach. These three purities are very essential in order for the teaching to be, like a meaningful or in line with Buddha's intent. The purity, disciple purity teaching explained. At a later time, the teaching spread to Vikramalashila. It is said that it was important to its scholar to begin with three topics: the greatness of the author of the teaching, the greatness of author of the teaching, the greatness of the greatness of the teaching, the greatness of the teaching, and how one should explain and listen to that teaching. Between these two renowned methods, here I will follow the latter in my explanation. So the deshin chu jichewa the chi Virkamala Shila Temba Tarves. Nalanda is the first university. Yeah. And then after Nalanda, Virkamala Shila become very popular. So Virkamala Shila during the time of Virkamala Shila, I think that's in 8th, 9th century, 9, 10, 11, even 10th century, 9, 10th century. Yeah, and Nalanda was in like what, 3, 100 years after Buddha passing away, I think. Anyway, so 3rd century, 4th century, 5th century, that Nalanda and Virkamalashila, I think it's from 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 8, 9, 10 was this during those time. Up until 10th century, I guess, 10, 11, 10th century. So that Virkamalashila, after the Virkamalashila, the scholars will give teachings in a little bit different style, which is not completely different, but the latter one incorporate the first one as well. So it's not like, okay, first one is not important, the second one is most important. So we follow that, leaving the first one. It's not quite like that, but it's like, they both are important, if you do the second one, the first one will be incorporated into it. So 3 purity, of course, that's the base, and the what is that? What is that? It was bold for three topics: greatness, Zimbabwe. Three. It should be. Does it says it should be 3 greatness, like Chewa. Okay. Anyway, at a later time, it is said that it was important for scholars to begin with these 3 topics. That the greatness of the great, there are 3 greatness. Okay. First, the greatness of the author of the teaching. The teaching, so it's the beginning with the 3 topics, the greatness of author of the teaching. We need to know the author, who is the author, right? Author teaching. Anyone can say anything. Sometimes they say you don't need to who. Sometimes we say you don't need to know who said it, but all that matters is what is being said. But it's not quite the case in in the Dharma practice and also many other events, like anyone can say anything, but who they are and what they do, it's more important, or it's more relevant, or it matters more than what person say. So that's why we need to know the person who actually writes the text, who actually give teachings. So who are they? Are they like a practitioner? Are they themselves dedicated themselves to the teachings or not? And then once they are dedicated, once they are like a practitioner, then listening to their words, listening to their teachings does make sense, because you're already dedicated to that path, and you are supposed to leading disciples. Yeah, that's why the greatness of them, the greatness of the teacher, author of the teaching. And yes, there's lots of teachings. What kind of teachings the teacher teaches? So author is writing on what kind of teachings. So greatness of the teaching. Does teaching actually give you to how to make money or how to go to nirvana? So if you teach it, that teaching gives you how to just to make money, that is, you're planning to stuck in samsara. You're planning to live in samsara. But the teachings that actually teach you to exit or leave the samsara, that is the teaching that we are looking for. So that's why teaching must be very relevant to those who are in samsara, that is actually address the root cause of the overall sufferings, like a sufferings, and very far-sighted teachings, life after life, life after life, to giving resolve the conflicts of many lifetimes, not just once. That fixing the problems of lifetimes after lifetime. See, that's why the teaching must be the perfect. There's a great teacher, and what he teaches, yoga or kung fu or business or what does he teach? So teaching, to follow the teachings for the Dharma, teaching must be examined carefully, and then the greatness of the teaching and how one should explain and listen to that teaching. 추지체가 대개번에 좀 비체와 추지체와 대대체대 시진년비 추수무드 시진년바, how you and not only just the author and the author and what the teaching that is being taught, and how the importance of how the teachings should be listened to, and how the teaching has been taught. So the way they teach the teaching, the way you listen to the teaching. These are like a 3 greatness. author, the teaching itself, the way you listening, and way you're listening, and while it has been taught. So these are like there's two ways of doing the teachings. So Tsongkhapa mainly follow the latter one. Here I will follow the latter in my explanation. The explanation of the stages of the path to enlightenment has 4 parts. Alright. 대단 치바 자오 너치마다 대단한 장주란지를 비틀라 지 추콘츠 바타건 치와때 바 대단한 장주 람지를 비틀라 시. Now the explanation of the stages of the path to enlightenment has 4 parts. So it's summarized. It's like guidelines of how the teaching Tsongkhapa is going to present. Tsongkhapa is going to present the teachings in these four chapters. First, showing the greatness of the teachings author in order to establish that it is of noble origin. See, and Zebabu, the showing the greatness of Tsongkhapa is going to first explain the author, the greatness of author. Who is the author? To understand the author and what kind of a realization, what kind of effort he put towards the existence, towards the propagations of Dharma and the attainment of the realizations for personal propagations of the Dharma in general for the to share the paths with the other sentient beings, to work for the other sentient beings, what he has done, and those the greatness of the teacher, and showing the greatness of the teaching in order to engender respect for the instruction. See, showing the greatness of the teaching, what kind of teaching he taught, what kind of teaching that I'm going to explain here. So this is the teaching. So if you know the importance, if you know the greatness of the teaching itself, then there's a chance you will develop some sort of respect, and then eventually that respect will blossom into some sort of the key elements that will actually allows the paths to be established or to be actualized into you. That's number 2. Number 3, how to listen to and explain the teaching. Number 3, how to listen to the teaching. How to listen to the teaching, the rules, kind of like intention and discipline, how you want to listen to the teaching, and should you need to explain to others, how should you explain to others, what kind of intention, what kind of environment, physically and mentally, spiritually, what needs to be prepared, in order to give the teachings to others, and how to lead students with the actual instructions, explain teachings, and how to lead, not only just explaining all those things, but knowing the intellect, or knowing the mindset of others, knowing your disciples, or knowing your followers, knowing whoever is listening to teaching, and then giving the instructions, giving the teachings accordingly, according to their mental capacity. 당아 넘버 지도시고 당가 추공점부터 대단 적용을 주고지 추공점부터 이제 제법을 치고도 당아를 구바지 배치를 취지 치고도만 천이 how when the life, those who wants to incorporate the other the listeners that their mind is pure, and how you want to make sense to them. Or all these, all these teachings, and actually the actual instruction once you actually walking the talk, and how you're going to do, what kind of change you might need sometime. Sometimes His Holiness is some part in, in the West. Sometimes you need to teach the Lamrim, like not the orders that we go through, like explaining, like how to say, like impermanence and meditations on the death, the sufferings. So sometimes people wouldn't understand these things because we already have enough suffering. We don't want to, listen to more sufferings that frustrate you and that makes you more miserable. So His Holiness sometimes give Lamrim teachings, like a reversed order. So from the resultant part, like a shamatha, and then emptiness, and then come back to compassion, and then a little bit of the preciousness of human body, and then the dead natures, and then sufferings, like that. So it's the sequence are being, reversed and upside down, other way around, if need be, in some cases, right? So that's more or less we finished the Dambatun Bimhondo, like what do you say, the Dambatun Bimhondo, the preliminary explanations of the teaching. So today, we're going to take some questions for now, and then probably I'm a little bit busy today, so I have to go in maybe like half an hour. So we're going to end the session a little bit earlier, 15 minutes earlier, if you don't mind. So we still have 15 minutes, and we can take some questions here. Okay, so just so you know that here next is Atisha's story, and I hope you will just read the story. Okay, so I'm not going to go very detailed about Atisha's story, and you can just read, and then you will understand. Probably next session we're gonna, I don't know, maybe greatness of the teachings, and we'll start from there and skip the Atisha story, his life story. Maybe we'll go through some of key points. It depends. And another thing is, okay, yeah, I think this is it for now. Yeah, let's take some questions if you have any.
Okay, so you were saying that in the teachings itself, right? Some of the teachings you cannot understand without having experience, right? Can you elaborate more on this? Some of the teachings, right, for the studies, right, you cannot understand without having experience in actually the practice. Can you explain how these two work together? Having experience in the practice and also the teaching.
I think I didn't hear you properly. I don't know, I just into my.
Okay.
I can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's much better.
Okay, basically is that you are saying that certain of the teachings, right, you cannot understand until you have some experience in the practice itself. Can you elaborate more on this point? Because it means that in our study of the Lamrim, right, even if we study the Lamrim text, then there are certain parts that we need to have some experiential experience before we can actually properly understand and appreciate the Lamrim that we are studying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very good questions, and it's excuse me, it's not. I think it's all the sections of the teachings have that kind of the the experiential element that you cannot understand in the beginning. Let's say in general, emptiness. Whether it is empty or not, what does it make difference? It doesn't make any differences. Or it is empty or not empty, or it's impermanent, not permanent. When it comes to the some experiential level, these kind of the meditation, the depths are very powerful. Like it clearly make you see the transitory natures of the things and the events. So that's why a lot of people have a misunderstanding. Why do we need to talk about this suffering? Um, it's more subtle than that actually. There's many cases where you don't understand teachings are, like, okay, this has been taught in that way, but in experientially you must understand in a little bit different way. So there's many cases where the teachings are here in um, it's maybe like those it's maybe like someone who have the experience of all this community, people, everybody. But when all of a sudden, like a stranger comes and sees someone's expression that way, that particular ways, and the stranger thinks this is these people are like a really criminals, or the thing, so all kind of bad impression. They got all the bad impression, while in fact that person is very kind-hearted if you spend time with them, if you get to know them long enough. So it's that type of things that happens a lot. I hope it makes sense. I cannot give you the right example because it's more in experiential things, and experiential emptiness things, impermanent things. You experience level in a little bit different way than you are being taught, or you have understood like in a just in a like in general ways. With the experience, it make better sense, or you will see as how it has been related to other things and why it's been taught in the first place. While you are still confusing when you are in that, while you are not on that stage. Does it make sense? Does it help, Simla? Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, please?
Okay, last call for questions. Call for questions.
Yeah. And then we conclude the session here, because I'm sorry, I need to attend the other event ceremony here. We have a ceremony.
Okay, then we will go for the prayers after teachings first. Okay, mantra offering. This ground is anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, the four continents, sun and moon. Visualizing it as a Buddha field, I offer it so that all beings may enjoy this pure rhyme. Idam Guru Ratna Mantaka Rakam Niyatayami. In the stony mountain paradise, you are the source of all good and happiness. Ahu Tenzin Yasu Chen Rizi, may you stay until samsara ends. Praying for teachers, perfect health, praying for teachers' ageless life, praying their works will go and spread, not bless me never to part from them. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the endless state of Guru Buddha, so that I may also be able to bring all beings to this very dying state. May the precious Buddhi mind not yet born arise and go, may that born have no decline to increase forevermore. Just as the Blessed Buddha the past has dedicated, just as the Blessed Buddha the present existing is dedicating, just as the Blessed Buddha the future will dedicate, I also humbly learn, follow, and dedicate likewise. In regions where the supreme precious Dharma has not spread, or has spread but then declined, may I illuminate that treasure of happiness and benefit with a mind deeply moved by pure compassion. May anyone who really sees here, remembers, touches, or talks to me, be free in that very instant from all suffering and abide in happiness forever. For as long as space endure, and for as long as living beings remain, until then may I too abide to dispel the misery of the world. May I be a protector for those without one, a guide for all travelers on the way. May I be a bridge, a boat, and a ship for all those who wish to cross the waters. O venerable, compassionate Gurus, we seek your blessings that all coming depths, obstacles, and suffering of mother sentient beings may without exception ripen upon us right now. May we give our happiness and virtues to others and thereby invest all beings in bliss. Okay, Kishila, over to you.
Jawagono yanda lama da demi chuje pala longju je sata lanji yende do zene doje jange kogon nyo do shu chanchu sunjo rumbo je ma je pa da je jeba nyamba memba ya kone konda bewa shu paden la memba pata kola kiji zanya lo da me je jinze lebo to ne mekho je la mi chen la sa nam chu pa shu kano rayo kowe shinga za penda dewa mali ju wini jirin sa titi janju shabe sende pa da ten chu je jamba bewa chidra chimba da kundo samba tiyan tiyan de da kunji jisu nalo je gyawande da tam je rata. Okay. Okay, bye bye everyone. See you in the next weekend. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Kashala.
Thank you.